Hello, come on in, have a seat. I want to share a little story with you. So, this was just a couple days ago, and I'm having a session with the client, and we're sitting there talking, and she's telling me about the things going on in her life, and she's needing to make some decisions. She's not sure which way to go, and this, that, and the other thing. And she's not sure what she wants. These different things, and they all have their merits in different ways, and she's not sure what she wants. So I'm tuning in, I'm doing my reading with her and doing the session. And pretty quickly in this session, it's coming up very clearly the message that, hold on a second. What I'm getting is that the reason that none of these things are really kind of panning out, either the details of them aren't panning out, the situations aren't working out, or you're not giving yourself, not feeling like you can give yourself fully, is because life is saying, stop. We need you to stop and take a look at something. And in her case, it was that there's a part of her that is just, it was just screaming through these readings, and what I was getting, it was like I was tuning into this part of her which is saying, I'm here, I'm here. I need for you to see me. I need for you to acknowledge me. I need for you to accept me. It was amazing. And when it first started coming up, like a lot of times when I'm doing sessions, because I'm not sure where this stuff comes from a lot of times, and it's like, and I could tell it was resonating, and I'm checking in, but it wasn't until the end of the session, or almost near the end of the session, that I really got the fullness of what that was about. And it led me to wanting to have this talk with you today. So sit down for a second, because I'd like to just have a conversation about what it is that you want in your life right now. So it's a relevant conversation at any time of life. But literally right now, today, is, from an astrological perspective, is Venus and Jupiter conjunct in the same place in the sky, and the part of the sky that is with the constellation Sagittarius, that is also in alignment with this thing we call the Galactic Center, which is the center of the Milky Way galaxy, where the whole galaxy rotates around. So bottom line of it is that from an astrological point of view, we are being invited, we're being asked, we're being coaxed, we're being very heavily cajoled to get clear and to own what we want. So I'd like to talk with you about what you want and help you a little bit with navigating that terrain, because it's amazingly difficult for most of us human beings to get clear about that question. And for those of us who are searching, for those of us who would be watching a video like this, it can oftentimes be much more difficult. So what do you really want? So let's talk about that for a second. So maybe you don't know it all, or you have little bits and pieces of something, but you're not clear. So I'm going to suggest that you maybe, as we're talking through this, and then as we finished our time together, sit and put some things on paper. What are the things that you know about, or that you feel about, that you want for your life? You want in your life? Situations, circumstances, ways of being, ways of feeling, particular stuff out here in the world, all of it do you want? Because oftentimes, even if we're not clear, like, I don't know exactly what it is I want to be doing, or I don't know exactly where I want to be living, or etc. Oftentimes there are pieces to that give us a direction to go. And often we can not acknowledge them because it's not clear enough that we can sink our teeth into, or those pieces may seem contradictory to the direction that we're going in our life, or to how we think we should be or can be. So I'm going to invite you, in the spirit of just exploration, don't get scared. is in the spirit of fun and exploration to just take a moment as I'm speaking and invite you after we're done here to just sit a little bit and just start writing down the little bits and pieces. I'm not going to hold you to them. Nobody's going to hold you to it. So I'm going to invite you to not be afraid to just, whatever's coming to you, whatever you know, to go ahead and write it down. So as you're thinking about this question, there's a question I want to pose to you to help you maybe kind of get a bit of a broader view. And it's a bit of a funny question, but I'll explain it to you as we go along here, is to kind of ask yourself, what world are you living in your thinking, in your mind? What world are you living in as you ask and answer that question? Because most of us, when we're asking that question and trying to answer it, are living in a world where there's a lot of fixed things that we're trying to find our way through as we're exploring something that could open us up. What do I want? What do I want? And as we try to grapple with it, oftentimes there's a lot of furniture in that room. So as we're trying to expand, it's like we keep running into the details, the specifics, the people, the circumstances, the beliefs, the what ifs, the but I can'ts all come up. So when I say what world are you living in, are you living in the world that seems real to you? Because oftentimes those things that seem real to us, if we embrace them in a different context, we find they're not nearly as real as we thought they would be. I'll come to that in a little bit to help you out with that. So I'm going to invite you to be very innocent and childlike as you play with this question. What do I want? What do I desire? And this could be anything. So when you're writing that down, whatever comes to you, I want to dance more. I want to play a board game with my family. Write them all down. Prime the pump. With whatever comes, prime the pump. Now, for those of us, and this is kind of speaking from my own, this has been the thing that's dogged me most of my life, is that ever since I was pretty young, a young adult, I felt like I had a mission. I not felt like it. I've been really quite clear in some ways. I have a mission here. But like, what is it? 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 And because I wasn't able to kind of get clear on what it was or feel like I was clear on what it was, I just kept kind of pushing it aside because it felt like too much. So I would say, first of all, own that you feel that. Own that you feel that. I know there's something I came here to do. And if there's something you came here to do, then the pieces are there and they will be found. So if you can just also start with, no, I feel like there's something here that I need to be doing with my life. And here's the pieces that I have about it. So I have a piece that came to me when I was 27, 28 years old. I remember the situation because I had gone to see my first spiritual teacher before I really kind of knew what spiritual teachers were. Speak, and I ended up having this dialogue with her, and somehow in this dialogue, she was sharing with me something that I kind of already knew and was afraid to respond to. And she said, I see you in the future speaking in front of big groups of people. And she was going on and on about it. And as she's talking about it, there's a part of me that's going, yeah, I've kind of seen that too. And then there's another part of me that's going, holy hell, what does that mean? How am I going to do that? I'm scared. And there's another part of me that's going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Somebody sees it too. So there's all of these parts, our own responses that we have internally that can be all over the place to what it is that on some level we recognize is there for us. And so just get these things down on paper and leave some space for the fact that there's a part of you that really wants that. There's a part of you that it scares the heck out of. There's a part of you that has no idea how the heck that's ever going to happen. And there's probably about 6 or 7 other parts of you in there that have their own opinions about this. So what world are you living in as you ask this question? I'm going to ask you to really try to expand that inner world where you're really trying not to censor yourself. You're trying to contain all of these different responses that you have, including, oh my God, I don't know, I should know. There are a lot of different parts of us in there. And the more that, meaning points of view on something that we individually carry that can be coming from different perspectives. If you leave room for all of that, then there's more truth that can be seen. So I'm going to invite you to write these things down as they're coming to you, and really, because right now in the astrology, so literally now, please I invite you to really consider doing this today when you watch this, is get this started, and over the next couple days, put some time and energy in here, because there's a window of time till about the end of the month where the energies coming in astrologically are really supporting this movement in us. And if you're open to paying attention to your own experience, life is going to be showing you, and you're going to be registering, oh, that's interesting to me. That's kind of cool. And just allow that to maybe not make any sense why you have any interest in that. Write it down and maybe do something to move a little bit in these directions to start exploring them. So now, what do you do with this? Because I'm inviting you to do something, and I really would like to support you. This is really the essence of what I do in the work that I do in all of its facets, is to help support you to live out the life that you decided to live, whether you know it or not, before you jumped in that womb to come back here one more time. There's a life that you decided you wanted to live. So my role, as I see it, part of my mission here is to help people find it, get in touch with it, and teach the tools and techniques and support them with my gifts and talents and my heart and love for seeing potential actualized. Maybe you're like me. I'm such a sucker for those YouTube videos where people, like on America's Got Talent or whatever the show is, where they get the golden buzzer. I'm such a sucker for that, because there's something in that moment that, the way I see it, that I might start to tear up a little bit, is that when somebody who is daring to go out there on stage and put their heart out there, the thing that they really want to do, but they're not sure anybody's going to appreciate it, and it's this really vulnerable moment. And they're kind of in this space, and they're starting to get this feedback, and they're, people love them and it really touches them. But there's something about the moment when that judge goes, boom. It's just, for me, it's like this moment when the world is saying, we see you, we love you, welcome, we want more. So as you make your list this week, leave space to be that for yourself. To really kind of innocently and openly open up to the ways in which your own being is trying to speak to you, and life is trying to show you, here, this is what you want. And hit that golden buzzer, write it down. Take it seriously, meaning take that desire in you seriously by saying, I see you, I acknowledge you. Now, what do you do with that list? What do you do moving forward? So I've got 4 things to share with you. And one is, first of all, is to do this week and really feel into it also. Don't just make this be a mental exercise, but feel into this and take time to actually do this for yourself. Right now is a really pivotal time in many, many respects. So I implore you to take some time to do this. 2, What are the bits and pieces you already know about yourself? Things in your life now, things that you want to do, things that people tell you. What are the bits and pieces you already know about yourself that they don't have to be things you're good at, but can include things you're good at, but things that light you up. And spend some time doing that. Get the engines going this week so that it's not just a sitting down and writing the list exercise, but you're actually engaged with trying to experience those parts of you that get fed when you're doing something that you love and that is loving through you to the world. Get in touch with that so that that energy starts to move through you, because I experience it and I see it in other people. There's a particular energy, kind of energy that comes through. It has all these different shapes and colors because we're all quite unique in that way. But there's a particular energy and a particular thing that comes through somebody when what they're meant to do is happening through them. Feel that. Play with it. Maybe it's something that seems to you little and you kind of write off. Do it anyway. Third, I'm going to invite you to share what you're looking at with somebody in your life, with somebody who has the ability and the openness and the heart to receive you, to support you, to celebrate you, maybe to even add some things to your list that you're not thinking about, but somebody who's really an open, caring, supportive person in your life, so that you can spread this out beyond yourself and really begin to move this energy out into the world. And keep doing this. But I'm going to really give you a caution. In the words of I think this was actually Jesus' words in the Bible, don't throw your pearls before swine, meaning don't share these things that are important and maybe tender and a little frightening to admit to somebody else, to somebody who's not going to be there to really support you. So find somebody, just one person. And if nobody comes to mind, write me an email. Put a comment in down below on YouTube and let the community support you. Actually, I'm going to invite you to do that. Share in the comments, support, and let the community come and support you. Because there's something about supporting each other in our potential, which is a huge part of this new world that we're beginning to create. Supporting each other in potential. I see you, I support you. And the fourth thing is something that's really kind of practical, and it's something that I teach. I'm going to talk about these very briefly here and invite you to click below to get this downloaded. I have a short book that is yours for free on the 3 sacred keys, which is a way to move from where you are to where you want to go, meaning what you want, in a way that allows the universe to support you, that completely embraces that you don't know necessarily exactly where you're going and you don't know how to get there. And not only is that not a problem, but it's where you want to start. So click on the link and download that if you don't already have it. But for now, there's 3 things to walk this path whenever you're going to where you are to where you want to be. And where you want to be is not clear, and how you're going to get there, you really don't know. Before I do that, there's something I didn't mention before that I want to kind of come back when you're writing your list. Is when you're writing your list, I'm going to implore you to, when you think of something, to catch yourself before you write it off. When it's like, I can't do that because this circumstance. That's not possible because of this person. This will never be because something that you think you know about yourself. is go ahead, try to catch yourself so that as you're wiping it off your screen, you say, hold on a second, get back here, I saw you, and realize that all these things are from the voice of what I call the inner critic. It's just killing all this stuff. These are just mechanisms that are in our mind that try to kill these things. Is bring it back, because even though there might be very real things in your life that would need to be dealt with or managed or worked around to get there, these 3 keys will show you how to get through there if that's where you're meant to be. So this is a whole new way of navigating through life that most of us are used to, that deals with the realities of life but doesn't let them get in the way and finds the perfect way through. So what is that way? The 3 keys are, key number 1, I don't know. So it's to embrace the fact, realize this is the perfect place to start and the perfect way to walk through as you move forward, this fundamental position of I don't know. So, because there's so many ways where things come up and you're like, oh, I can't, that won't work that way. It has to be this way. There's all of these automatic assumptions that are just part of being a human being that come up. And so the way to fight back is, hold on a second. I'm just going to start with I don't know, which means clear these things aside for a second, clear the space, open up the space. Oh my gosh, I can breathe now. Maybe there's a way to do this. Then you embrace key number 2, which is, but I want to know. I don't know how to do it, but since I want to get there, I want to get what I want, I do want to know. I do want to know how to move forward, how to get there. I do want to know what the next right thing is for me to do to get there. So you grab key number 2, but I want to know, which means then you're leaning into life, looking around in this open space, meaning in your own thinking, out here into the world, expecting the world in all of its forms, including your mind, your emotions, other people, situations, etc., to show you what the next right step is. And if you start practicing this, and maybe you've been doing this in your life already in different ways, but you start practicing this from the perspective of having this goal, I want these things in my life, life is going to start showing those to you. That's key number 2. I want to know. And all of life begins to respond. Then key number 3, which is, they're all critical, but key number 3 is critical, is I'm willing to act on what it is that I discover. So when life shows you a next right step, call such and such. Why don't you go check that out? Look up this. You hear about something and it's like, oh, that sounds interesting. Act. So the thing is, key number 3 is I'm willing to act, which means you're gonna practice cultivating this bit of adventurousness in yourself to try out things, to check out things. I mean, these don't have to be big things. They could be just actually stopping and looking something up. But actually willing to respond to a little sense of something and check it out. And not all of them are going to pay off, but a lot more are going to pay off than you can imagine. But if you don't take that step of being willing to act when life seems to be nudging you in a particular direction, then in essence, the universe, as much as it continues to support you, it won't actually pay off in your life because you're not taking these steps. And the steps can be little. The steps, in my experience, are never going to be bigger than we can take. Sometimes it can be a little scary just because it's like, I don't know how that's going to go, or I'm not sure how to do that. But life shows us to the degree that we're able to meet it, and is to be willing to actually follow them up. So I invite you, I really implore you, because this is the week to do it. And this is on the back, if you've been watching my previous videos, of a whole year of life showing us all the ways in which life supports us. I mean, the situations in our life, internal and out, support us or don't support us, so that we can begin to make decisions on what's important to us, get clear on what's important to us, and then make decisions about what stays, what what stays and what goes. And hopefully you've been acting on those, because as I just said, if we don't act on those, then things don't change. And then what happens is that you have a situation where you end up feeling like you're kind of all left alone in life, and when life is trying to support you in different ways. But when you're not willing to take that step, and believe me, steps can be really scary. I've taken some real scary steps in my life. So they can be scary. But is to take the next little step. Take the next little step, and then you keep seeing, is this the direction that feels right? You take a couple steps and like, no, that actually isn't the right direction. But it's actually to move. So I invite you to do that. So let me finish the story that I started off with. So I told you at the beginning of our little conversation today about my client the other day, and how what was coming up at this reading was this part of her that was saying, I need you to stop and really embrace me and see that this is a part of you. And near the end of the session, we talked about this and it was resonating, and we were talking about the details of the different things that she was working on and looking at the merits of all of them, and going into detail and all this. And then at the end, she said something about, she said, I've always thought that I could be like, and she named a person, like this person, which would be a perfect representation in real life of this part of her that's like trying to get her attention at this point. She said, but I always, I've always kind of seen myself doing that, but I'm not really like her, and and then she didn't go on very long because we've just been talking about it, but I could see that maybe if her life has been anything like mine has been, is that whenever she's allowed herself, let me just talk about me, whenever I allowed myself to go there in terms of being in front of people, speaking, inspiring them, this kind of thing, it lights me up, but it's just like before long, it's just like going off and I can't, I really don't know how, and before I know it, it's gone. But it blew my mind when she said that, because it's like, look, that's something that's been living in your awareness, in your heart for all of these years. And, for those of us that are around about my age, and which most of the people who are attracted to me are more or less kind of in the middle of their life somewhere. And it's just, and now where we're at in terms of what's happening on the planet, it's time to stop and really listen and explore those things. And these three keys, I tell you, they're really powerful, because these parts of us are trying to speak to us, and they're trying to get our attention, and they're trying to take us to a place in ourselves, and a place where we're being different in the world that we don't know what it looks like, and we don't know how to get to it. And because we've been trained to think a certain way, we've been trained to approach solving problems, we've been trained to make things happen in a certain way, it's so easy to just write it off. But this is a different world. This is an invitation to live in a different world. To say yes to these little parts of us that are maybe they're nagging at you, maybe they've been nagging for a while, maybe they're just whispering, but to say yes, get this stuff on paper this week. Play with these keys. I invite you to download that book so you can read more about it and really kind of how to embrace these perspectives or these ways of relating to our own experience and responding to them that makes us available to our deepest intuition, that makes us available to the part of us that made the decisions before we came here about what this life was going to be like. That part of you is in you. It is you. That part of us uses things like imagination to give us information. So, welcome to a wonderful new world. And I invite you to embrace those parts of you that are trying to speak to you. And please, please, please share it with somebody. Please, please, please share it in the comments on this video so that we can start to create a community of people who are here to support our hearts showing up in the world through how we are and what we're doing in our lives. So thanks for coming and sitting and having this very one-sided conversation. I really invite you to respond back, because I would like for this to be a conversation that you and I are having and that we're having collectively. So go to it, be playful, dare to dream, set aside all of the, move back the furniture so there's room in your space to really explore this question of what you really want. And I look forward to hearing from you. So all my love to you as you explore this brave new world. Bye for now.